interested, she says she'll go out and get with me, as long as she doesn't have to try and get better. She just wants
Okay,
to-
everyone. Firstly, welcome and thank you for making time at night to come. I know you have busy lives, especially at night. So we're going to go through this efficiently, but we're going to have a lot of fun with it. This is our second annual Mental Skills Workshop. Some of you attended last year. We had a good time. There's refreshments in the back. And if we could just go around real quickly and just introduce yourself. First, last name, where you're from, and if you play on a USTA team, approximately what level that team is, or multiple teams. If not, just a little bit about what you're doing with your tennis game, okay? So we'll start right there.
Yeah, hi, my name is Tori Lamerden. I played here forever. And I played on several teams over the winter, actually in 4 seasons, but I switched back to Western. I'm going to play on Kathy's team. Janet. I always call her Kathy. Even when I see you at Stop and Shop, I call her Kathy. Hi, Kathy.
Maybe she looks like a Kathy, I don't know.
I don't know. So, and that team is at 3-5 level. So I'm really excited to be back here for the clinic and everything else. Yes.
Thanks so much.
I'm Roby Weinberg. I just joined here, and I live in Weston, and I'm on the 3-0 team, USTA team. 3-0. I'm just getting back into tennis. It's been a long time.
That's great. Thanks, Romy. And where do you live?
In Weston.
In Weston.
Yep.
Lori Wasserman, I'm on a 3-5 team also, Lori Archer's team, winter, summer. I've been on her team for like 4 years. I like playing with that guy. I like playing with him. And I've also lived here for 21 years, and I live around the corner from here, so I have played here a long, long time.
That's great.
But I've never taken a workshop like this.
All right. Good, I'm right here.
I'm Janet Crystal, or you can call me Kathy, but
Yeah.
I'll probably answer to Janet, so. I captain Fear Factor 3-5 team. This will be I think my 4th year captaining this team. And I don't even know how long I've been here. I live in Wilton, and I came over here maybe about 8 or 10 years ago, I think. So.
That's great.
And looking forward to figuring out how to be tough.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for coming.
I'm Beverly Butler, 30 plus years in Weston, and I live right around the corner from Lori. And I've been here since a year ago last November, so, and I've just had my 4th match, so I'm super beginner.
That's great. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming. Kelly.
My name is Kat Pavel. I'm one of the coaches, and I look forward to working with everyone and each team. Hope we have a nice summer once again.
Thanks, Pat.
Hi, I'm Burke Mandeville. I play on the WTA 3-5 teams. I played this past winter. USTA. WTA, I'm trying, whatever I can get in. And I'm going to play in the summer league also. And I play here a couple 3 times a week, singles, doubles.
That's great.
Quite a few years, I guess now.
Okay.
My name is Al Solis. I live in Weston. I'm in a 3.5 team. I do the summer USDA practice because I think the clinics and the practice is very good. Not that interested in matches, I have to admit.
We should.
But I'm learning a lot, and I did attend a workshop last year, but it didn't stick, so I'll try again.
Repetition.
I
Okay.
feel the same way.
Thanks for coming again.
My name's Eric Bell. June 1, I'll be here 19 years.
Wow.
In Weston, so I belong to the field club as well. I've been here 2 years. I played in the winter men's ladder last year, and this year I did a group clinic, which was great. Corey did a great job.
Great, thank you.
And I just joined the USTA, and they put me in as about a 3.5. So
Great. Thank you, Eric.
I'm Janet Schroeder. I've been living here forever. I live in Bethel. Did I answer all the questions?
Yeah,
What team?
and
What
what
team
team do you play
Lori
on?
Archer 3-5 team.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Tim.
I'm Janelle Downs. I live in Wilton. I've only been here a year, I guess, and I play on the about 10 years. Play on the USTA 3.0 and 2.5 teams.
Thank you, Laura.
Laura Berger, Bethel, Connecticut. I've been at this club 2 or 3 years. I've kind of lost track. And I was playing briefly with the 3.0 USTA.
Great. Thanks.
My name is G Mackin. I live in Weston. I've been a member of the club for 6 months or so not too long. And I'm signed up to play for the men's 3.5 league. So I'm looking forward to it. I hadn't played in many, many years since high school, so it's been fun to get back. And it's been a nice place to do it, so we appreciate it.
That's great. Okay, I'm Angelo Rossetti, Director of Tennis here at Weston Racket Club. What inspired me to do this workshop now for the second year was that last year I went to the USTA High Performance Certification in Mental Skills Training in Boca in Florida. And I trained under Larry Lower, who trains all of the top US men and women professional players. And I learned so much that I felt I would be selfish if I just didn't share it with the club. So we said, well, why don't we just do a complimentary workshop on mental skills and see how it goes. Last year was very well received, so we're doing it again this year. I would love to see more of them more frequently, so we'll see. That's why I handed out the survey. If you can complete that at the end, that would give us insight into how we can help you better. So a lot of the things we do off the court, and this is going to be, on the court, this is going to be off the court. So we're first going to start with kind of defining what mental skills are. And this is mental toughness, a definition that I kind of put together, which is an ability to cope with or handle pressure, stress, and adversity, overcome or rebound from failures, and in tennis, to play to your ability under pressure. So, God bless you. So, the thing is this, whether pressure exists or whether it doesn't exist, the fact that you or your opponents think it exists means it exists. So, therefore, you have to learn skills to deal with pressure. Now, the thing is, most people play tennis because they enjoy it. You have a lot of other things you can do with your time, but you want to enjoy the process of tennis. Unfortunately, because it's a sport, by nature of a sport, you keep score. And by the nature of keeping score, there's a winner and then a loser. You end up putting undue stress and pressure on yourself. Now the thing is this, no one can put pressure on you but you. And no one can have a greater expectation of your performance in tennis than you. So really, the good news and the bad news is it's all about you. It's how you handle that. Now, yes, there's going to be distractions, there's going to be pressures, there's going to be the fear of failure, and that comes along with competition and with keeping score and with tennis. But for the most part, it's how you deal with that that's important. So it's not what the expectations are of your doubles partner if you play doubles, or your coach, or your pro, or your team captain. What matters is what pressure you put on yourself, what your expectations or goals are, and then how you deal with it. So, in order to succeed, you must fail. So this was an interesting statistic from Michael Jordan, the best basketball player of all time on the NBA. In the NBA, he missed 9,000 shots, over 9,000 shots. He lost almost 300 games, and 26 times the game came down to his final shot, and he failed. But then he says that ultimately he failed time and time again, but that's why he was successful. So you can't be afraid of failure, and you can't be afraid of taking risks. You got to go out there and do it. Kind of like when you're a child and you're riding your bike for the first time without the training wheels, or you're swimming for the first time. you kind of gotta lose the fear of messing up to actually ride your bike for the first time, or swim for the first time, or drive your car for the first time. So you kind of got to get out there. So I'll say that I had one of the biggest failures ever, and that was that my twin brother and I, and some of you know this story, my twin brother and I set out to set the Guinness World Record for the longest tennis rally. And we were trying to honor a deceased tennis mentor of ours, Scott Wilson. He died at the early age of 42 of ALS, and we wanted to honor his legacy, so we said, why don't we set a world record on his behalf and do this long rally. So in 2007, we set out at about 4 p.m. to rally the ball over the net back and forth more than 24,696 times, because that was the current record at the time. So after about 2 hours or so of rallying back and forth, about 2,600 shots, my brother misses in the net. And so then we quickly take a bathroom break, and I said to him, Ed, you had to miss in the bottom of the net? Couldn't it be at least like a net cord or something? Make it close. So then about 6 o'clock after we went back on the court, we tried again because we had the adjudicator there, we had all the counters and everything. So then we rallied for a little bit over 10 hours to 5:09 a.m. And then I was kind of falling asleep a little bit on my feet, and I missed the forehand into the top of the net. So I failed.
At what point?
And that was at 19,490 strokes. So unfortunately, that was probably the biggest failure of my life at that point in the sport of tennis. And the reason why I share that story with you is that right away, my brother and I said, we're going to try to do it again the next year. It takes about a year to get the paperwork through and the permissions and everything ready. So we said in 2008, we'll learn from our mistakes. We'll start earlier in the morning rather than at 4 o'clock at night after doing volunteer clinics all day and stuff. And so we came up with a different game plan. So ultimately, rather than let failure define me, I said, let me do something about it and learn from it, kind of like Michael Jordan. So we started at 9 in the morning, and the goal was still 24,696 because that's how they keep track of it. So it really doesn't matter how long it takes, you have to beat that mark. So after the press left, we didn't realize that there was some media, so we had to do all the interviews and everything, and the fire marshal came and all of that. This was at another club that I was directing. At 9:30 we started. We rallied all the way until midnight, and at about 11:30 or so, we set the record for the longest rally, 25,944 strokes, and that took 14 hours and 31 minutes. So my brother wanted to stop, but all the people that were there still cheering us on near midnight said, keep going, add on to it. So he was cramping and severely dehydrated, so he said, all right, Ange, as we were rallying, he goes, if you can hit the ball right to me without me moving a step, I'll hit it back. So we proceeded to do that for 2,000 more strokes with him not moving at all. So that was really tough for me because I had to hit it right to his forehand. So then at a minute past midnight or so, we said, well, why don't we stop? We already had the plan that we weren't going to miss. We were going to stop on purpose. And since we're identical twins, we wanted to have the exact even number of strokes, identical number of strokes. And I started with a serve, so we knew that I was going to be the one that was going to stop the ball. So I let it pass at a minute past midnight. And on page 258 of the 2010 edition of Guinness World Records, you can see the story in our picture. But thank you. But I say this, I tell the story not to impress you, but to impress upon you how important it is to fail first. Because everyone in life, no matter what skill, no matter what sport, fails. But you have to fail first and fail enough to succeed. You have to fail to achieve your dreams and your goals. And I'm living proof. I failed quite a bit. And that was a big failure. So the irony in that story is that there's a mental toughness coach that I work with a little bit out of New York, and every year on Facebook on my birthday he says, "Happy birthday to the Guinness World Record holder for the longest tennis rally." So in January of 2013, he said that, and then someone from Germany replied, "Former." So I said, that means something. Let me check on like German websites and newspapers, and sure enough, in July of 2013, a father and his son, one of the previous world record holders 3 times before us, had set the record for the longest rally, our record. They watched our tapes, they saw that we started with a serve, they do the same thing, very similar. So they rallied for 50,970 strokes. Their strategy was the rabbit, not the tortoise, and they said, we're going to do volley to volley. So they did the serve, worked their way up to the net, and then volleyed very close to each other over the net, and they did that for 10 hours. So they did double the strokes in 5 hours less time. So my brother and I had gone on record as saying, we're never going to attempt to break the record again if we still hold it. We just wouldn't want to go through that self-torture again. But if someone else breaks it, we're going to go out and reset the record. So you're all invited if you'd like to cheer us on August 8th here at Western Racket Club.
No kidding!
So yeah, we've been certified by Guinness World Records to go out there and do it all over again.
Wow.
So the press release is coming out this Friday, but the goal, 24-hour rally, 100,000 strokes without missing. So, sorry, I put it out there, so I know that that's a lot of pressure, but you'll learn from tonight that it's how you respond and handle to the pressure that's what's important.
You're doing the tortoise strategy?
The tortoise strategy, we're doing a kind of combination of strategies. There's a couple of factors at play, but we're still working on exactly what the tactic is going to be. But I assure you that on August 9th, we will have reset the record. So that's that. So I want to just share that with you to inspire you that it's okay to have dreams, and it's okay to dream big, and it's okay to pronounce them to people. Matter of fact, you want to do that so that someone can keep you accountable. And that's why the best coaches in the world have coaches, and the best mentors in the world have mentors. So you should have one too. You should have someone that you can confide in, that you trust, that you share your tennis goals with, whether it's your coach, your captain, your pro, whoever, your husband, your wife, your kids, whoever it is. You definitely want to shed the fear of failure and have goals. So Von Lendl, the owner of the club and our boss, says, I believe the brain is like a muscle, like any other, it can be improved. So that's why you're here, is how can we improve the most important 3 inches in tennis, which is the 3 inches between your ears. So how can we improve that? And this is a grid of some of the things that you need to be aware of. So starting at the very bottom is your personality. And if you recall in week 1, we talked about identifying and defining your own tennis personality. So one of the things that I've said is if you're an aggressive, outgoing type A personality, you don't mind speaking in front of crowds, you're a risk taker, you cut it close when you're trying to get to important meetings. If you have a party, if you're going to go to a party, you might as well throw it yourself. You're the one, that sort of thing. You're the life of the party. If you go to one. I remember someone sent me a photo of, we had a party at one of our matches a few years ago, and I couldn't make it, and someone sent me a text of a picture of one of our players dancing on the bar. So that would be a type A personality. That person should play the ad side. So in general, in doubles, that person wants to play the ad side because that's the risk taker. You want to have the person that takes the risk, that is not afraid to determine the outcome of the game on the left side. unless you're playing no ad scoring. Then it doesn't matter. And then the right side is not the type A personality. That you don't really throw parties, you don't really go to parties. You don't have 1,000 Facebook friends, maybe you're not even on Facebook. But you're more methodical, you're more strategic, you're the communicator usually on the court, but you're the consistent player. So you're the consistent player. And I'm not saying either one is better or worse. Those are just two examples of distinct tennis personalities, and then how your off-court personality correlates to your tennis personality. So for the most part, on the right side of the court, the reason why you put the steady player in doubles is because that person is going to keep you in the game. That person is going to help you build a lead, because if that person plays percentage tennis, then more often than not, in the game, you're going to be ahead rather than behind. If you put the risk taker on the right side, you'll be behind all the time. And if you put the steady player on the ad side, the game will never end. So that's an example of knowing two types of personality, and in doubles in particular, where you should be. In singles, where your tennis personality is important, is what style you're going to play. So if you're the methodical, consistent percentage player, then you shouldn't rush the net. You shouldn't go for too big of a first serve. You definitely shouldn't go for too big of a second serve. Minimize double faults, and basically look to almost time out after 2 hours. If your matches are short, you're hitting too many double faults, and you're hitting RDFs, which is a return of serve double fault. Basically, you miss a makeable return. Then those are statistics that you don't want if you are the steady Eddie, the steady Edith, the player that's going to outlast someone else. And then in singles, looking at the other way, if you're the type A personality, the life of the party kind of thing, then what you want to do is you want to keep the matches short, you want to end the points quick, you want to dictate the pace, you want to start the point on your terms, you want to go for your serve and go for your returns. So if your unforced errors are a little bit high, that's okay, because they should be high. So there was a junior I was coaching, working on his mental game. He's trying to work on improving his serve. And what I realized was that every tournament he played in, he never double faulted. Why? Because he was afraid to double fault to give up a free point. But I said, you're never going to improve your serve if you don't take risks with it. It will never really get much better. It'll only get a little bit better. So I said, you need to double fault 10 times a match. And if you don't double fault 10 times a match, then you didn't reach your goal. Because you're not taking enough risk on your serve. So that's just something to think about, that double faulting is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a learning tool. Kind of like the failure example I shared with you in the beginning, that's not failing, that's actually learning or getting better. So awareness, knowing yourself and how to respond to certain situations and certain things. So being aware. So let's say you're a person that doesn't like to have pressure and doesn't like to be nervous. So there's two types of players for the most part. One that performs better when there's a lot of pressure, and one person that performs worse when there's a lot of pressure. If you don't know where you fall, find out. Okay? So the person that thrives and plays better under pressure, plays their best tennis, that's the person or players you want to put on the window courts, where everyone can see them, because they're going to play their best tennis. So for you captains, you want to know your players and pros, and then line up the courts accordingly. That person you want to say, you know what, it comes down to you. If your partner is that way, you want to say, you know what, it's on your shoulders. I'm not having a great day. You know, let's see if you can help me on this. So the more pressure, the better. Sectionals is riding on your racket, or districts, or the matches could be riding on your racket. Those are the type of things you want to say to yourself or say to your partner. If you like pressure. If you don't like pressure, then you treat the match like a practice. So you say, hey, this doesn't really count. Who cares if we win or lose? What are you doing afterward? Let's go to the restaurant. You take your mind off of what's going on. You talk and think about other things. You don't get caught up in everything. If you are on the window court, don't look up in the window. If you do, it's to wave at your friends, but not to look at your coach or try to figure out if the match is coming down to your match. You play better on the end courts rather than the near courts. So those are examples of being aware of how you handle pressure and how you can manipulate your surroundings to your benefit. Commitment, good daily habits and routines that focus you on your goals. So you want to create good habits. Now, one of the good habits is being on time for your clinics and practices, because you have to be on time for your matches or else you're penalized. So if you create that habit, if you take the practices seriously, and if you come to practices, then be on time. Be early and on time, and get ready, be prepared. So me, for example, if I were to compete, usually I try not to have coffee in the morning on match days, because it's a diuretic, and if you drink too much of it, you can cramp. It's okay if you hydrated the night before, but you don't want to have too much during match days. So therefore then, if I'm having a team practice, I won't drink coffee before the practice. Little things like that people wouldn't know, but if you treat the practice and the match the same, and then you start playing well in practice, then that'll correlate into you playing well in matches, and vice versa. Disciplined thinking, so being positive and being productive. So in doubles, the most important thing that you can do is how you communicate with your partner. That's the most important thing you can do. Secondarily is your own game, your own strategy, your own focus. And I can tell you from real examples how many people come up to me after matches and say that their partner was mean to them and they didn't stick up for themselves, and how it wasn't a pleasurable time or experience. So if more people know that that's important and then act on it, then it's going to go around and go around, and then eventually everyone's going to know how to work with their partner. So if your partner is not saying the right things at the right time, then what you need to do is coach them. So not during the match, but before the match or in practice, say, you know what, Romy, I like to have a lot of pressure. I play the best when it's pressure. So every once in a while, tell me, you know what, it's on your racket, get this point, and we're in the clear, that sort of thing. If you say that to me, that'll be a trigger for me to play well. And vice versa, if you're a player that doesn't like pressure, then tell your partner to tell you, look, tell me every once in a while, even if you don't mean it, fake it, that this is not important, don't worry about it, if we lose, it's okay, kind of thing. So that way, in advance, if you coach your partner on what to tell you, then in a match, there's a chance she'll remember and do it. But if you don't, then they don't, and then they just treat you the way they treat themselves. Believe me, a person who beats you up in a match, in their own mind, beats themselves up 10 times worse. So if you just help that along, then that will definitely help your performance, particularly in doubles. And in singles, it can help if you have a split personality. And then finally, emotional toughness, pressure training. So the thing is this, you want to train under circumstances that are more difficult than what you're going to face in a real match. So, if your match is 2 hours, how long do you think you should practice, minimum, for that match?
3.
3 hours, 2.5 hours. But if you go out and you hit for a half hour, an hour, and you're going to be playing for 2 hours, it doesn't work, because the practice is easier than the match. So what my brother and I did when we practiced for the rally was we put another net over the real net, and so we had to hit over 6 feet instead of 3. So then, for the record, when we took the net away, then it was easier because we were aiming twice as high, so then after 15 hours when the ball is low and you're tired, you're still clearing the net, or you're still making your goal. So you want your practices to be tougher than the match. Now, how do you do that without being obnoxious in a clinic, because if you're in a clinic, there's 3 other people, and you can't say, Kat, you know, hit the balls faster, come on, we gotta be stronger, and that sort of thing. I think you're gonna make 3 enemies, okay? Maybe 4, the pro too, no. So what you wanna do is you wanna create challenge in practice internally. So here's how you can do that. When you're playing, especially in practice, I've heard time and time again that I need to play against players that are better than me or else I won't get better. But if everybody plays up, because everyone doesn't want to be the best player on the court, no one would play. Right? Because if no one accepts the responsibility of being the best player on the court, you can never get a clinic together. So, to solve that problem, it's all about mental skills. So here's what you do. If you are the best player on the court, or the perceived best player on the court, you perceive that in yourself, that's okay. Here's how you deal with it. Number 1 is you stand closer on the return of serves. So anytime serves are being played, let's say at the end of practice you're playing a 30 minutes for a match, you're playing tie breaks, stand in closer. Because now you have faster reaction time. A slow serve is actually going to appear faster. A fast serve is going to be even tougher. If it hits the line, it's even tougher. So you're going to stand in closer. You're going to try to win with your weakness, not your strength. So if you run around your backhand, you stand way to the left-hand side, don't do that. Give them the backhand opening, try to win with your backhand. You're probably going to say, yeah, but I'm not gonna win. It's not about winning. It's about getting better, and it's about making the practice tougher than the match. And even if you don't play USTA matches, and even if you don't play matches where you're keeping score, that's okay. The point of tonight is to develop mental skills so that you enjoy the process more. And people come to me and say they don't enjoy it because they're not challenged. Well, guess what? Challenge is up to you, not anyone else. So, number 3 is take risks. So, when you're winning in a match, so let's say you're winning, so you're up, you want to shrink the court. And when you're losing in a match, you need to take risks or else you're gonna lose. So you need to widen the court. You need to increase the size of the court. What does that mean? When you're practicing, go for the lines. Don't just be settle for hitting the ball down the middle. Go for the lines. Take risks. If you're not a good volleyer, come to net. If you don't have good overheads, come to net. If you never double fault, go for a bigger second serve and a bigger first serve. Allow yourself to double fault and then see how you respond against it. So these are all things that you can do when you're playing against players that are not as good as you to create challenge for yourself. And those are really important because now when you get to the match, you're no longer afraid of those weaknesses or those challenges. Because if someone has a bigger serve than you're used to and you're still standing back to where you were, it's going to feel like you were standing in. Well, you're already used to that. You practiced that. If you're playing someone that has really good placement, that can hit it on a dime to your weak backhand every single time, guess what? You already practiced that. You're used to it. Someone that hits great drop shots like Kat brings you to the net every single time. Well, guess what? You worked on your volley last time because you came into the net. Someone has a great lob, the lobbers that you hate to see. Well, you know what? You're not afraid of that because you already practiced that. You're at the net. You already worked on your overhead. So you see what I'm saying? So now it's in the context of how you create challenge with yourself that will help you prepare for matches. Does that make sense? Okay. So I had to prove to a point, with one of my lessons. I said that hitting with her 7-year-old son with red balls made me a better tennis player, and she didn't believe it. And I said, well, guess what? I go through that hour, and in my head, I'm tracking how many balls I miss. And my goal is to not miss one ball in an hour with your son. And because I don't have time to practice for the world record, that is my practice. And believe it or not, it works. Now, it's not easy to not miss the ball. I don't care what age of a player you're playing or skill level. To not miss a ball an hour means you have to maintain focus over time, which by definition is concentration. So what I say is if I can do it, if I can get better playing against a 7-year-old, you can definitely get better against playing with the people that are in your clinic. Okay, so we talked about this. I'm going to go through this very quickly, but words are only worth 7% as an impact on your doubles partner, or if you have self-talk, coaching yourself, only 7%. Tone, 38%, body language, 55%. So the main thing when you're talking and communicating with your partner is how are you coming across? Check yourself. How are you coming across with your body language? And what is your tone? Is it humble and positive and encouraging? And then the words. So what you say is not as important as how you say it. So let's say Catalina and I were playing doubles together and Kat misses the easiest overhead in the world. And I go, "Kat, you bonehead!" That's okay. He's not going to take that in a bad way, right? It was because the way I said it. But if I say it differently, and I say even nicer words, not bonehead, then he could take it in a negative way. So it's kind of like where you're coming from and how the vibe is of what you're saying. So be careful with that. So with yourself, be gentle with yourself. Don't berate yourself, because this works not only for your doubles partner, but for yourself. Okay. So this is the GROW model, okay? And this is really relevant to goal setting and mental skills. So if you look on the upper right, so you see the goal is for your session. So for each practice or match that you come to, you want to set a goal. And I tell you right now, in the matches, the goal is not winning. It should be something that you can control. And believe it or not, winning is the thing that you can control the least. Because you can't control how well your opponents play on any given day. There was that famous Wimbledon final match between Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal that went for 4 or 5 hours, 5 sets. I'm going to tell you, I was glued to the television set. They even wrote a book just about that match, the greatest match of all time. I'm going to tell you, Roger Federer didn't lose. Nadal just outplayed him. But they both played exceptionally well. So the thing there is, you can't control the outcome of winning, so stop worrying about it and focus on what you can control, which is your effort and your attitude. So set a goal that's realistic that you can control. So basically, what do you want? Then the reality, which is kind of like the reality check, what, where, who, how much, but basically what's actually happening. So you have your goal. So let's say your goal is to be more aggressive on your first serve. And then you analyze that goal after the first set. And if you didn't win any points on your first serve, if you didn't have any, let's say, unforced errors on their return, if your partner never poached on your first serve, then the reality check is, guess what? You're not doing your goal. Do your goal. Go for your goal. Options, what's possible? What could you do then? So let's say my goal was to be a stronger first server in a match, and the reality was that I wasn't. Then what can I do to change that? Anyone have any ideas? What can I do? My goal was to serve stronger, and I'm seeing that my partner isn't poaching, and I'm seeing I'm losing my first serve. I can hit it closer to the lines. I can hit it faster. And I can really try to hit it to the person's weakness. So if they have a weak backhand return, I really analyze, am I hitting it to their backhand return? And then the will. So what will you do? The clarity, the commitment, or the support. So this is kind of being committed. So it's the goal, here's my plan, here's what I want out of this. This is going to be fun for me to go for this goal. And then the reality check. Well, what's really happening right now while I'm going through the process of trying to reach for the stars? And then, okay, I'm not there, I'm not on track. Well, what other options do I have? And then finally, what will I actually do? So let's say I wanted to serve better on my first serve in a match, stronger. And one of the options is hitting more aces, but I never hit aces. Then I don't think that should be the option you should choose. I would say place it closer to the lines or place it to their backhand. Okay, so there's green light, yellow light, red light, and then the changeovers. And this is when you're primarily playing matches, okay? So, it's kind of funny. I had a clinic recently with some 11, 12-year-olds, and I said, I was using the example, and I said, so when your parents are driving you to school and they see a green light, do they accelerate, slow down, or maintain the same speed? They said, maintain the same speed. Good answer. I said, when your parents see a yellow light, what do they do? And they all said, you guessed it, accelerate. And I said, no, you don't want to accelerate. You don't want to accelerate. You want to slow down. In tennis, you want to pause, okay? So you're not rushing to make the light, you're rushing to try to slow down for success. So the analogy is a good one. So here's what you need to do in each of those phases. So the green light, an example of a green light is things are hunky-dory. Things are going well. You're clicking with your partner. You're communicating well. You're laughing, and the score is in your favor. So someone give me an example of a green light score. What would be a green light score in the middle of a match and in the middle of a game?
4-1.
4-1, and game score. Give me a game score.
40-15.
40-15, 40 love. 40-15, 40 love, 4-1. Excellent example of green light. So, what do you do? Well, this is your base. So there's the 4 R's. There's respond, recover, refocus, and then get ready. So 4-1, 40-15, or 40 love, they're going to do something different at that moment to try to change your momentum. So you have to now be ready to respond to what their change is. So they're going to change. You have to be aware of what they changed, and you have to respond. So for example, let's say they never came to the net. The server on their side never came to the net and they're down 4-1. That server is probably now going to start coming to the net to put pressure on you. What are you going to do? Lob them, hit it low to their feet, hit it to their partner? I don't know. But those are some examples. The second is recover. So when the point is over, let's say now you've won the point, you want to repeat your recovery after each point. So in college, I used to use the towel a lot. And not because I was wiping my sweat, but this was my focus tool. So when I played D1 at UConn, they gave me the nickname Minolta because I was the most focused player on the team. So I'm in the green light, I'm in my zone, I'm doing my thing, you know, I'm hitting my shots, and now I hit a winner. Boom! So you immediately take the racket out of your right hand and you put it in your left hand because now you're relaxing your hand. If you're holding it, then you're keeping it tense between points. You're eventually going to get tired, and especially subconsciously. Put it in my hand. I vacate the spot that I was just in, and I go towel off. My towel is back at the fence. So I turn, I look at my strings. When I'm really fired up, I throw the towel fast in the bottom of the curtain. No one noticed that, but you know, I knew that that was like me getting fired up, rather than saying, "Come on!" in their face. And I'll share you a story that doesn't work in a minute. So I do that, you know, the towel off, look at my strings and pretend to be fixing them. And I do that at head level because you want to keep your shoulders erect and up. Studies show that if you slouch over, that hormones kick in that create negativity and negative energy, and you don't really realize it, but then you're going to be more submissive. So you want to be assertive and you want to dictate. So you've got to keep your shoulders up. Sharapova does that really well. Djokovic, they're not really fixing their strings. Believe me, how many times can you fix the strings? You know, they don't move that much. You know, so it's they're going through the ritual or routine. So Nadal does it really well too. So you keep it at head level. I mean, not up here, but you know, down here, and you're switching your strings. And then a lot of people like to spin the racket, and that keeps your hand and forearm loose. So you spin your racket. Okay, so that's an example of recovering and now refocusing. Okay, that point is ended. I won that point, but now that doesn't matter. Here's a new point. Refocus on your strategy. So then you want to say, okay, I noticed that that person was coming to the net. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be aware of that, and I'm going to lob them the next time that person comes to the net. So now I'm ready. So that's what you do when things are going well and you're kind of in the zone. And yellow light. Okay, so now you need to be a little more strategic. You need to breathe. So you need to take deep breaths. And there's two theories, breathing either in through your nose and out through your mouth, or in through your mouth and out through your nose. The most important thing is not where you take the air in, but how you do it. So the definition of hyperventilating is basically, so if you try that yourself, like that, you're going to get out of breath. Your diaphragm gets tight, your lungs lift, you start to feel nervous for no reason. Okay? So that's what happens whether you like it or not when you become nervous. So be aware of it and now deal with it. So how do you deal with it? You take in the air pretty slowly, but you release it 3 times as slowly. So your exhale should be a minimum of 3 seconds. So I like to go in through my mouth and out through my nose because it's harder to breathe out fast with your nose. So it's deep breath and then 3 seconds to let it out. Is not easy to do when you're playing a match and you've been running around and you're under a lot of pressure. But it's the right thing to do. So whether you go in through your nose or in through your mouth, it doesn't matter. But when you're going out, make sure it's a slow breath. I usually like 3 breaths in between points, not 1 or not 2. And then we talked about the towel. You need a little more time in the towel to figure out what just happened. A yellow light scenario would be, let's say that 4-1 turns into 4-3 or 4-4. Then that would be yellow light. So now you're pausing, you're not accelerating through that yellow light. Red light routine. Stop. Reset. So here's an example, just happened today at the Madrid Open with Victoria Azarenka playing against Serena Williams. Serena Williams has won 23 matches this year. She has not lost a match. Victoria Azarenka is on kind of a mini comeback. She used to be #1 in the world. Now, she's making a comeback. So Azarenka in the first set is up 5-1 in the tiebreak. She's up 5-1 in the tiebreak. She finds a way to lose the tiebreak. So 7-6. Second set, she feels a little less pressure because now she lost the first set, so she's got nothing to lose. She wins the second set 6-3. She battles all the way back. Is up 6-5 in the third set, 40-love, triple match point. They play a point out. Serena hits some good shots. Eventually Serena hits a forehand cross-court winner. Too good, 40-15. Plays the next point, play it out. Well, actually not play it out. She hits kind of a weak serve to Serena's backhand. Serena hits a backhand winner. Basically, she touched it, it was a winner. So now 40-30. So she starts thinking about that serve that she just hit. Oops, I hit a little too short, a little too weak. Serena hit a winner. I'm not going to do that. So she goes for an out wide, pretty big serve. She thinks she's won the match because it was really close, but it was out by that much. It was on clay. So on clay, what happens is they don't have the Hawkeye thing. The umpire gets down, walks over there. So she starts walking up to look at the mark. The umpire comes over, looks at the mark. Over 30 seconds pass between her first and second serve. Sure enough, it was out. She didn't win the match. She has to go back now and reset. The problem was, mentally, she didn't. So she proceeds to miss 7 serves in a row. Double faults 3 times, goes to a tie break, and loses the tie break 7-1. Now the reason why I share that story with you is this is a professional athlete and all they do for a living is get paid to play tennis. So we don't get paid to play tennis. We can learn on a massive stage from her mistake. So the thing in knowing Azarenka's game, watched a lot of her matches, and she is not a front runner. She puts more pressure on herself when she's winning than when she's losing. And when she's losing, she's a big threat. Because in her mind, she has nothing to lose. She starts pulling the trigger, being more aggressive, and she plays really well. But then mentally, something happens. And it's not physical at all. It's 100% mental. Once she gets the lead, then she plays a totally different game. She plays not to lose. She hopes, and hope isn't a strategy. She hopes that her opponent starts to make unforced errors. And at that level, and at most good levels, if you hope that your opponent will lose, they will win. They will disappoint you every time. So, there's a couple things you can do when you're in red light situations like that one. So you stop and reset. You recommit to simple plans. So Sharapova, Djokovic, Nadal do this really well. Djokovic, when it's a really important serve, what does he do with his bounce? Does anybody know? He bounces it more often. So I counted one time 24 bounces before. I'm not saying that you have to bounce 24 times, you're going to make a lot of enemies, but you want to do something that is simple that you can control. So